Hey guys, it's Josh with Project Idea, where we put ideas into action. And today we're going to be building the Lollipopper harvesting tool from Fortnite. But before we get started, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please consider doing so and hit the bell icon for updates on future videos. As you can see, I'm using pool noodles for this build. I wanted to try to make it something that anybody could get a hold of the material. I did have the hot glue gun set too high and it did start melting some of the foam here, so don't do that. I turned it down for the rest of this here. As you can see, I just worked my way up slowly until finally it ends up being kind of like a snail shape. You can see here that some of the very first parts were actually pulling loose a little bit. It didn't end up being a big deal because I just filled in the gap with some pieces later. Here I'm trying to find out or figure out the best way to fit the pool noodles together. The way I did this with hot glue, I don't recommend doing that. You'll see later in the video why, but I would say contact cement would be a better way to go and leave it overnight to dry completely before you actually work with it. Here I just continued gluing the spiral shape around. At the end here, I had to cut a slant shape at the very end of the spiral. The only problem with doing this is the pool noodle is hollow, so you have to fill in that gap somehow. I'll show you how I did that here in a minute. On this particular one, I ended up gluing, just gluing it shut. On the next one, when I do it, I actually cut out a notch and it actually worked better than just straight gluing it like this. After that, I used a knife just to cut more of the taper down. I should have spent a little bit more time on this because it was kind of rough, just to try to smooth it out. Maybe even use like something like a Dremel to work that down a little bit better. Looking back, I wish I had spent a little bit more time on it though. Here I started the green side of the Lollipopper. And I will say I used green and pink noodles here, but I did completely paint over them, so you could really use any color pool noodle in this instance. I did this pretty much the same way I did the pink pool noodle earlier. Once again, with the hot glue to connect them, don't do that. Do contact cement or something stronger and let it dry overnight completely so you can use it, work with it. Here's where I had notched this one that I talked about earlier, and it actually worked a lot better to glue it together. There wasn't as much pulling it apart. It worked really good on this one. Definitely recommend doing that. Here I cut some of the pieces of the pool noodle down. This was to fill in some of the gaps in the middle where it had kind of pulled apart a little bit. and this actually worked out really good. I just used hot glue to glue these pieces in from behind. Gluing it from behind allowed it to look a little cleaner on the front side because you didn't see any of the mess or the extra pieces, the edges of it or anything like that. I used PVC as the handle on this, so I actually marked where the PVC pipe needed to go on both of these pieces in the back part here, and this allowed me to cut out a notch so the PVC would fit in there and the two pieces of the lollipop itself would fit together. This allowed me to glue them together very well. As you can see here, when it's all glued together, the pool noodles will actually set flush against each other. So then I just use hot glue to glue it all together. I wanted to try something a little different with this one as far as sealing it, so I tried Flex Seal. We had some Flex Seal at the house, and this is the spray Flex Seal. It did okay. I think probably the brush on Flex Seal would work better. I was hoping to fill in some of the holes from where I had to cut the foam. It could have done better than it did. I believe the brush on would probably work better for this type of project though. Here I was just fitting a piece of foam to go in each end of the PVC to make it kind of like a cap, to cap it off. Next comes the chocolate, and to get the chocolate effect, I had my hot glue gun set on high heat. That way when I melted the glue on here, it would kind of drip down, kind of like the chocolate would on the Lollipopper itself. And I did this on the top part of the Lollipopper and completely covered that all the way down. And then at the bottom part of the Lollipop itself, there is some down there as well. You'll see I just paint all this later on with acrylic paints. Like I had said before, it really didn't matter the color of the pool noodles because I used paint to paint the entire thing anyway. I used acrylic paints on this and painted one side pink and the other side green. And of course I used chocolate colored paint to paint the chocolate. And the stick on this is supposed to be kind of a light colored wood grain look, so I just worked with that and painted the PVC pipe here. Of course, I had to get all the candy stripes on here as well.
So guys, when I was doing this project, I had a little bit of a mishap, and I just want to let you all know so that you don't have the same issue. Since I used the hot glue to take the noodles and glue them together, I left it sitting out in the building, and when I did, it kind of pulled apart. I think the heat with the combination of, you know, the glue just wasn't strong enough. So this is what ended up happening. I'm not completely done with the project yet, but it did rip open right here where the noodles had connected. So I'm going to fix that, and I'm going to tell you how. The way I'm going to fix it is contact cement. I probably should have used contact cement to begin with on this project, particularly on the edge where you take the noodles and glue them together. It did the same thing on this other one over here too. So like I say, I'm going to work on that, get that fixed, and then we'll get back to the video.
I did use contact cement, but I also put these wedges in place because at this point it was just pulling apart too much to go any other route. And then I also used hot glue to kind of fill in some of that gap there as well. After completing the repairs on it, I could get back to painting it, and of course had to paint the green side with its candy stripes as well. I sealed everything up with a coat of clear coat, and this really made the chocolate look a lot better as well. And this is the final product. I hope you guys like this build, and do consider subscribing and hit that bell icon below so you can be updated on my future videos. I appreciate you guys, and thank you.